Well, I'm thinking it's a Ford cab over day today, so let's just get into it now. I spent the last week or so working on the little white Blazer, which isn't one of mine. That's customers I'm trying to finish off. And I thought I'd be gone working to the pipeline somewhere or running plow truck this weekend, so I was in a panic to try and get it done. But there's no snow, and the job got canceled. So I'm still here. And I need a little break from the Blazer. I need a little me time. So I thought I'd drag the cab over out because I've been awake for the last 3 nights thinking about this, and I need to do a little mock-up on it. Get the ideas rolling. So the cab over is here. So I might as well fill you in on my ideas. And I'm open to what you guys have to say about this. Now the cab over is in bare metal. And before that cold snap came, I was in a panic and I had to push it out and just cover it up with plastic because I needed to get the white Blazer in, and you know, certain vehicles were priority that they stay inside during that time. So we got some surface rust happening. So the main goal, main priority on this thing is I should pull it in and sand it off and at least get it primered so I don't have to worry about the bare metal before I stick it in one of the buildings for storage when I go to work. And if I'm going to do that, well, we got to try something out here. The goal here is to use what I have laying around here, because I can't throw a bunch of money at this build yet, not when I have so much money in all my other builds. But I feel like tinkering, and it's keeping me awake at night, this thing. So here's what I'm thinking. I don't want to do a big long hauler like everybody else does. It's a ton of money, a ton of work. And doing a slammed one with a pickup box, I don't like them. They're funny looking to me. And I'm kind of a 4x4 guy. After working on the little 2-wheel drive Blazer for the last week or two, getting underneath that thing's starting to drive me nuts. So I happen to have a set of 37-inch Cooper Discover STT Pros on XD wheels, and they're 8-bolt, 8x6.5s. Now hear me out before I freak out. This is what I'm thinking. I have a 320 horse 302. And I have wheels and tires, and I have lift kits for Chevys. And I know I said I'm not putting a Chevy motor in this thing, but I don't mind putting a Chevy transmission in it. So what I've been reading is the 700R4, apparently rock crawler guys really like that transmission because of the low first gear, and then you have an overdrive, and they make an adapter plate for the 302 to mate to the 700R4. And that has a 700R4 with a 208 that's coming out, and I don't have a use for it. So if I stick a 302 in it, it should fit in that hole just fine. And one gentleman suggested he thinks it would be neat if I raise the cab up when I do all of this, something different. That may be a possibility, doing what I'm doing. Now I was doing some measuring, and I have a Chevy 3/4 ton rear diff that's 1/4 of an inch different from the leaf springs, the pads. You know, it's a different setup. Gonna have to do a little work, whatever. I don't care. This thing is totally useless to me, so I'm going to unbolt this, throw it off, And there's a flat deck laying over there that was used for snowmobiles. So I literally want to just kind of mock this thing up. I'll get rid of this fifth wheel plate, put the 37s under it. I'll throw it on blocks for now because these tires are junk. And I know I can do the rear end just by cutting off the leaf spring pads, welding them back on. It's not a huge deal to do that. Something I really want to learn more welding and fabricating, and I'd like to start with this one before tackling the Belvedere. Oh, and by the way, I did just locate an actual Dodge Dana 60 rear end for the Belvedere too, so kind of why I'm holding off on the Belvedere. I'm on the fence with a few ideas with it. And the front, I have to measure still because I have all 3/4 ton diffs. So what if I had a 3/4 ton 4x4 with a cool deck on it for hauling dirt bikes? Being it's a 302, I'd probably still get okay fuel mileage. It'll fit. And really the goal is I got to get this thing sanded and in and primered. So I might as well learn some metal work when I do that. Bolt it together so it stays together, and let's just have a gander and see what we can piece together and what I think. Yeah, look at this. I have a crew now. And it seems there's a cat up there. It's moving around on the plastic up there. All right, back to what I was doing. So I found this in the scrap pile. How cool is that? I'm sure we can use that, but I never should have done it. It looks so cool. I knew it. It's just so me. So I would have to put more lift in it, which is not a problem because I have lots of lift springs around here. And as you can see, the tire is above the frame, so when you put the deck on, you'd have to raise the deck, but I'd be putting a lift in it anyway, so it should solve that problem. Steering, well, it's one of those things we'll have to figure out later, just like everything else. But that is just... Oh, and they're sticking out a lot because the hubs and the bolt pattern. So once I actually have a diff in it, the tires would fit in more. The hub on the back of them isn't even close to fitting inside those wheels, so they're sticking way out. But oh, it's so cool. What do you think, pup? All right, now I can rip the fifth wheel off and we'll go have a look at the deck. So I've moved the wheels just away and I dug out this old snowmobile deck. Had hydraulics on it for some reason. This was just sitting in the scrap pile. So it's a little too short, but we're gonna throw it on anyway just because I'm getting ideas. Oh, and I just blew a tire on the tractor, so that changes my plans for the whole weekend. So I better get this thing on, and then that's it for the tractor for the weekend. We'll have to go from there without it. Not only did we dig out a deck out of the scrap pile, but this is a front bumper that came off, I think it was an 81 F350. And it's the perfect width to protect the fenders. What I was actually wanting to do was not have anything square on this because it's so round. And this deck is way too short. Right now it's sitting too high because I would need to cut all of that hitch out for it to drop down. So I'm just getting an idea on, you know what. It's got a winch roller in the back. And it had controls for it. And that is about 2 feet between the cab. I don't know. I'm just falling in love with this idea more and more. Yeah. That's just incredible. The other good thing about throwing a 302 in it is that I have the original radiator for it, and it's a really big radiator, and I think it would keep the 302 extra cool. I could use electric fans, but still use the factory radiator from 1942. I think it would work. So I'm going home for the day, and I will continue on the cab over for the weekend. But what do you guys think? I'm really liking it. There's a few things I'd like to change that require, you know, some more supplies, really. But I'm kind of falling in love with this idea. I wanted something that's me, something that's different. So I'm open. Throw your ideas out there.